Special guest, Coach Chris Burgess. Hello, Coach.
How you doing?
Good to see you. Very well.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Let's start with among the most recent things that have happened in this program, and that is a big W in Salt Lake City on Saturday against Utah State. You know how important the in-state games are.
Yeah.
You had one get away from you a little while ago. Great to get back and get a game with almost as much intensity against Utah State.
This game, in-state rival, all that stuff, but personally, I was fired up. I mean, I lost to him twice as a player. 0-2, and then as a coach, we've lost to him. As a coaching staff, we lost him a few times. And so to go against like a top 25 team that's picked to win the Mountain West Player of the Year, returner, Kada being back, our guys were locked in. After the game Tuesday, our guys were locked in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and they followed everything in terms of tendencies, personnel scout. They followed everything to a T, and the way they would play what we were trying to take away. So the win was fantastic, and it felt like kind of an NCAA tournament environment, right? Like at a regional site, such as the Vivint Center.
Yeah.
Playing against a team that some people think could be as high as maybe a 5 or 6 seed, and to win the way we won in a defensive battle against some changing defenses was just fantastic. And we got a number of guys who, like, Jake has 5 or 6 points, and we're still winning, right? We still won the game. So it was just a culmination of a bunch of things against a really good team that's well coached.
Coach, and I can tell you this, but this was his scout. And so, these guys have maybe 4 or 5 days between scouts to prepare for the next one, but I'm pretty sure he spent the last 6 months kind of cooking this baby up. And
Sneaking some Utah State team in when you can.
And what was beautiful about it was to watch Chris not only develop kind of the game plan and how he's going to attack it, but also like sell it to our players. That's the real power of doing this, and he was able to sell it to our guys where they really believed and got an unbelievable performance on the defensive end. It was a big time win, big time job by him.
Chris, Coach Pope concluded his college career right as yours was about to begin, right? So, Mark was new in the NBA, I guess, when you were just starting out at Duke. Had your paths ever crossed?
So not physically, but I went on an official visit to Kentucky in my senior year, I think in October, and they were just coming off the national championship in '96. So I went in October of '96. They won in April of '96, and Coach Pope had been drafted by the Pacers at the time, and so Coach Pitino that was his last year that he was going to at Kentucky, and so they were really selling me because of our religious backgrounds and similar positions. They were really selling me on kind of the next coach. Well, Mark Pope, Coach Pope.
I know. Coach P was like, "I'm great with the Mormons, Chris. I'm great with the Mormons."
So they were really selling me on that. And obviously, you've seen Coach and those Kentucky play for the last, couple of years, and so I had known of him, known about his background, and then I really got to know his background when Coach Pitino and the assistants were recruiting me. So that was kind of the path really I crossed. And then I was in training camp with the Suns in preseason, and Coach was with the New York Knicks. And we had played each other. I didn't get off the bench. I don't know if Coach was dressed or not, but he was with the Knicks, I was with the Suns. And it was actually the game, Coach remembers, Antonio McDyess tore his knee.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was the microfracture or something like that. So Antonio McDyess, for the Knicks, it tore his knee. So that was kind of the two, other than when we got to coaching, that was the 2 times we kind of crossed paths. One non-physical and the other one, I guess you could say we didn't really go against each other, but our teams did.
Okay, better college player?
Coach.
Oh, stop. That's ridiculous.
He won the national championship. I lost in the championship.
This Chris Burgess was the best player in high school basketball, one of the top players in college basketball, and still is probably one of the best players in our locker room right now.
Offensively, probably not defensively.
There's Coach Burgess on the left, and of course, Coach Pope with a championship T-shirt there on the right from UK. Yeah. Did you ever think that you'd end up at BYU one way or the other somehow? The hoops life is a long life, right? So did you ever think,
I never really thought about, like when I got into coaching, I just wanted to coach. It didn't matter where. I wanted to coach. I wanted to be involved with the game. I wanted to give back to the game, but also learn more about the game. And so when I started working for Coach at Utah Valley, there's always a possibility because you're in the state that you can maybe get, move on there or get hired there. Whether it was for Coach Rose or whoever the next coach was. But I didn't really ever think about it. Now, BYU runs deep in my family. My sister played here. My cousin Sam, whoever remembers, plays here. My 2 brothers, David and Josh, played here during the Arujo era with Sam. My dad played on the freshman team after Kosic. and then went on his mission and came back, and he didn't make the varsity team back there in the 70s. And so it runs deep in my family. My uncles and my uncles and my grandparents had, season tickets back in the Smithfield house. So, there's always that. But I always take year by year. At the time when I was at, Utah as an undergrad, I'm just trying to learn as much as I can. When I was at Indian Hills Community College, trying to be the best coach I can there, and everything kind of takes that. And the same thing with Utah Valley. So when Coach had gotten this job, things just kind of worked out to get to BYU.
Like Coach Pope, you've gotten paid to play like literally all over the world, right? We're going to show you a few shots here. Where and when? So where's this?
Cairns, Australia, Great Barrier Reef, the 2003, 2004, 2005 season. Played 3 seasons there, again in Cairns, Australia. That's Puerto Rico for Criollos de Caguas, which is just outside San Juan, about 35 minutes.
Impressive, you can say that. That's
in Poland, in Zielona Góra. Actually, was teammates with my brother David, who played here a year. He was the 5, I was the 4, which was really special.
You gotta flip back to that picture. Your head is in the rim right there.
That's what I said. How high we were.
This is 8-foot rim. That is awesome.
The Polish team lifted me up about 6 inches.
You gotta go forward. That's fine. That's good rim protection.
That's a block. That was a block, if I remember. I can tell you when the guys
it's
I'm
timed
going
up.
against. That's Chris Dancy. If you guys remember Chris Dancy for the Bulls, I'm going against Chris Dancy there in the Australian League. David Laser played at ASU.
You got him in the first half.
Here's the one right here.
Yeah. Look at that. Let's go.
That was a big game.
So in addition to the pictures we just saw, what are some other countries not represented there for you?
Philippines, Korea, Ukraine, Abu Dhabi's not a country, but the UAE, which is Abu Dhabi and Dubai.
The Emirates, yeah.
Man, I think that's it.
What can you add to the mix, Coach Pope?
Well, I mean,
Turkey. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the only place I got to go. The only place I got to play was Turkey. But it's so. I mean, I could talk for an hour on Coach Burgess and the great things that he does. But one of the things, he has experience in all these countries. So literally, for example, Yoli was going through a process last summer, and Yoli's kind of talking to some people from a distance, getting evaluations in terms of European scene, and they're like Burgess guys. Like these are his guys he played with before. They're now owners of teams or GMs that he knows, and so that resource that he is for our players everywhere in the world is so extraordinary. It's a gift, and it's something he's gonna carry on with him, and it's gonna continue to help him as he grows in coaching.
In terms of staff responsibilities, Coach talked about how you guys get scouts, obviously, team by team. What else are you kind of specializing in on the staff?
I work a lot with the bigs. I love working with the guards too, but I spend primarily my time with Dalt, Yoli, Big Colby, Richard, and Zach Sellius, who's playing some 4-5 this year. I do a lot of defensive things. I kind of lead that with the defensive, how we're guarding, different packages we have, recruiting-wise, international-wise, as Coach talked about. Both as professionally and recruiting-wise, I kind of lead that as best I can. I mean, Coach does a great job with all of his assistants. There's no really one person. We're all involved. We all talk to each other. We all communicate with each other. There's no secrecy or anything like that going on our staff. But those are kind of the things I have my foot in.
I'm not sure if you have the Weber State scout or not. Do you?
Coach Fieger has Weber State. I'm starting to get ready for it.
What can you say generally about what you got coming up this weekend?
Well, I got to watch them against Utah at that game there in the Vivint, and they run a similar offense to we run. That little handout, ball screen action. I think defensively, I know what they're going to do game plan-wise. They have an assistant coach there who worked with us, and I know some of his tendencies, what he likes to do defensively, and how they're going to match up and how they're going to guard us. They're going to get out and run. If you guys watched the Utah game, I think that was what kind of kept them within single digits. Is they just ran on Utah every possession they could, whether it was turnovers or long rebounds. They got guards. They're going to play 4 of them. So you can see here in these highlights, they're trying to run. They know to hang with us during the game. They know they're going to have to get cheap, easy buckets, just like Utah did, just like Utah State tried to, but couldn't. Right. So that's what I think they're going to do that. And if they get to half court, they're going to run a dribble, hand up, ball screen. And this Jared Harding, he's been a first team all conference the last 2 years, an all region guy the last 2 years for a reason. He's a big time scorer. I think he dropped 35, 36 at Utah Valley, and he was injured the first 3 or 4, maybe 5 games. So I don't know how many he had last year, but I think he dropped about 30 last year there up in Ogden. So he's going to have something to prove when he gets here in Provo, and our guys will be locked in.
Okay, and guys are locked in on finals first, though, right? Get those out of the way, and you can focus on some hoops on the weekend.
That's right.
It's a big week. Yeah. Coach Burgess, thanks for coming in tonight.
Wait, before we go, let me take 2 seconds to talk about this cat,
sure.
Okay? So I'm going to do this in less than 72 seconds. Is that all right, Jerem? Jerem is tough on me. So this Coach Burgess, everybody should know this. This guy not only was a great player, But he, the way he started in the coaching profession is amazing. Okay, and it was what really attracted me. So came back to the University of Utah, where he finished his school, and he was working on the staff there while I was completing his degree. And then he made the incredibly rare decision that he wanted to coach more than he wanted to take a safe route. So he went and basically volunteered at Salt Lake Community College for 3 months until he got picked up as an assistant coach at Indian Hills Junior College, one of the top JUCOs in America, in some tiny town that no human being's ever been to, right?
Iowa.
Moved his whole family there, like the ultimate gamers of all time, and took that hard path, and then has just crushed it on our staff for going on his 5th year right now, and does everything in this game so incredibly well. And at some point, all of us at BYU are going to be like, that dude came and coached here, and he went on to do extraordinary things in college coaching, professional coaching, wherever it is he ends up. It's a real tribute to have him here. He's done an amazing job kind of on every front, and so much of the success that we have is, of course, due to Coach Feger and Coach Robinson and Coach Burgess. They're doing unbelievable.
Well, we're lucky to have you both. Thanks for being here, Chris. Appreciate it. Okay, thanks. We're back after this.